Hi guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about my favorite romance books, and I have 5 that I'm going to be talking about today. They range between young adult and adult, and I'm not someone that reads a lot of romance books. I typically just pick up the ones that are either recommended to me or I see that they're hyped by other people, or when I'm in like a bookstore and I see a cover that intrigues me, I might go ahead and pick them up then. But I just don't read a lot of romance. I'll sprinkle them in here or there, but it's just not something that I will typically grab. Now, I will watch a good rom-com or a good romance movie, but for whatever reason, I just don't gravitate toward romance books. But these 5 that I'm going to talk about today, something about them just resonated with me, and so I really enjoyed them. So I cannot wait to tell you guys about them. So we will go ahead and get started. So the first one that I'm going to start with is Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon, and this is a young adult romance book. And this is the second book by Nicola Yoon that I have read. The first one was Everything, and I also watched the movie for that, which I really enjoyed. And so I really wanted to pick this one up because I fell in love with this cover. This is not the original cover, so I did not want to pick this one up until this cover was released. And let's just take a moment and appreciate this cover. It is stunning. I love it. So this one follows our main character by the name of Evie. She is a high school student. She used to be all about romance and romance novels until her parents got a divorce. And so at the start of the story, she is trying to get rid of all of her romance novels, and she is going to donate them to one of those outdoor little free libraries. When she gets there, she sees this old woman. This old woman tells her if she donates all those books, she should just go ahead and take this one that's called Instructions for Dancing. When she gets that book, she all of a sudden feels like this power, this new ability come over her, and all of a sudden she is able to see like the lifeline of people's relationships. So when a couple kisses, she is able to see how that couple got together, and then she is able to see when they will break up and how they will break up. And she is not feeling that at all. She does not want it. She doesn't want anything to do with it, and she is trying to figure out how to get rid of it. In the midst of all that, in the inside cover, she sees that she can return the book at this dance studio. And so when she goes to the dance studio to try to return the book, she somehow ends up getting wrapped into signing up for a dance competition, and she gets partnered with this guy by the name of X. And so she starts this kind of like friendship / relationship with X, and we follow Evie as she develops this relationship with X, and also why she is trying to figure out what she should do with this new ability with seeing these couples go through these ups and downs in their relationships. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was such a sweet story. You get to see the background with Evie and her family and what happened between her parents' marriage and what effect that had on her. We get to learn a lot about X, what brought him to that dance studio, and some of the things that's going on in his past. I just thought this was a cute story. It does get deep at times. This does have an unexpected ending that I did not see coming. But overall, I really enjoyed this. And just like with the other book that I mentioned, Everything, I wouldn't be mad if they came out with the movie for this one, because I would definitely watch it. So then the next one we have is The 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayless, and this is a adult romance. And this is, I would also consider it more of like a holiday romance because it takes place right before Christmas, and it will give you all of the holiday vibes, or at least I thought it did. But this one follows our main character, Kate, I'm pretty sure. Yes, Kate. And Kate she has a really good career, and she feels somewhat satisfied with where she is at in her life, except where she is at with her love life. And she is at that point where she is ready to settle down, but she just doesn't have that special someone. So her best friend decides to sign her up with this company, with like this dating site where they will try to set you up on these 12 dates before the holidays, where their goal is to try to find you someone before Christmas. And so she reluctantly agrees to go out on these dates, and these dates are disastrous. So the thing is, every date you go out with someone different, and these dates are some of the most hilarious blind dates that I've ever read about. And I thought that was one of the best parts about this book. Now, there's also another best friend that she has that is a guy by the name of Matt. There is some history there between her. I think the relationship that she has between her and her parents are hilarious. Her mom is hilarious, and the relationship her mom and her dad have is interesting. And I just really enjoyed this book. Like I said, it will give you the holiday feels. It will put you in the holiday spirit. Now, because I enjoyed this book so much, I did try this author's other book this year, because I read this one last Christmas. When I say last Christmas, I mean in 2021. But this year, this past Christmas in 2022, I tried her other book, Meet Me Under the Mistletoe, and I did not really care for that one. But this one, I definitely would recommend to you guys. If you are someone that likes to read holiday-themed books, this one is definitely one you guys should check out around Christmas time. It would definitely put you in that mood and give you a holiday romance as well. So the next one that I have here is How to Fail at Flirting by Denise Williams. This is also an adult romance. The rest of the books I'm going to be talking about here are adult, so I won't keep saying that. But this is the first book that I read by Denise Williams. And after I read this one, I just knew that I was going to pick up anything else that she wrote, because I absolutely love this book. And I devoured it within like a day or two, because I just could not get enough of this. But this one follows our main character by the name of Naya. She is a professor at a university. She just got out of a abusive relationship, and she has decided that she is going to go out with her best friend. She made this list that she is trying to check off all these things that she wants to do while she is out. She's just kind of gonna let loose and just have a good time. She meets this guy by the name of Jake. They hit it off. She is doing a few things that she's never done before and just enjoying herself. And so after they have been hanging out for a little while, she learns what his job is, and it might kind of jeopardize her job. So it's a bit of a conflict of interest, but they decide to keep seeing each other. And so we are just following Anaya as she is starting to fall for Jake, and we see how their relationship might affect her job. And so I really enjoyed this one. I really liked how both of these characters had baggage on both of their ends. Jake just didn't come off as this perfect guy. He also had some things going on his side, which in books like this I really enjoyed, because it just didn't make it seem like Jake was perfect. No, Jake had some things going on, and it just made the story seem more realistic. And then we got to see Naya as she is dealing with the outcome of her getting out of this abusive relationship, and kind of how what she dealt with in that relationship was affecting how she was trying to move on into this new relationship. And so I just liked seeing all of that come together. And I really liked Naya and Jake together. I just really liked this one. And so after reading this book from Denise, I had read The Fastest Way to Fall and then Do You Take This Man. I did like those books, but not as much as I enjoyed this one. So I would say if you are going to pick up anything by Denise Williams and you have not picked up anything from her yet, I would start off with this one, because out of the three of those, I would say this one was her strongest book in my opinion. So I really enjoyed this one. So then the next one that I'm going to talk about is This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousins. This is one that I randomly picked from Book of the Month. I did not expect to like this one as much as I did, but I really enjoyed this one. But this one follows our two main characters. We have Minnie and we have Quinn. They both were born on New Year's Day. Minnie feels really unlucky because she always feels like bad things happen to her around her birthday, leading up to her birthday. So on New Year's Day, the day of her birthday, she never does anything. She always stays in the house to prevent anything bad from happening to her. And she feels like it's because she is so unlucky. She kind of feels like her mom blames her for them not being more well off, I guess you could say. And her mom always brings up the fact that she is so unlucky because of this rivalry her mother has with Quinn's mother. And then Quinn and his mother are a little bit more well off. They have more money. And so Quinn, at the beginning of the story, Quinn and Minnie have never met each other, but their mothers have. So Minnie and Quinn meet at this New Year's Eve party. And so when they meet, they are familiar with each other because of their mothers, but this is their first time meeting in person. And so when they meet, they are instantly like attracted to each other, and they spark up with this friendship. They can't move beyond anything but friends because they are both in separate relationships. And so we follow them over the course of a year as they are trying to navigate this friendship that they're trying to build while also being in these separate relationships. We also follow Minnie as she is trying to deal with everything that's going on, the ups and downs of her catering business that she has. And then we are following Quinn as he is trying to deal with all of his inner demons and everything that he is dealing with from his childhood, as he is trying to seek out therapy from the things that he is kind of dealing with his mother. And we also get these flashback chapters that include random New Year's Eves. So it'd be like New Year's Eve in 2017, New Year's Eve of like 2013. So it'd be random years, not in chronological order, that will kind of give us some insight into their childhood, but it would also kind of allude to them maybe being in the same place at the same time, but them not even knowing it. And so I really liked how this story kind of touched on a lot of different things. It touched on Minnie having this anxiety that she probably didn't even realize that she had because she didn't like to do anything on her birthday because of this notion that her mother had built up in her that she is this really unlucky person. I like to see this friendship that Minnie and her best friend had, and how much her best friend had actually sacrificed in order to help Minnie run her catering business. It touched on, Quinn seeking out therapy in order to help him deal with the things that he had went through in his childhood with having to take care of his mother, and then how he took what he went through and how that carried over into his romantic relationships. And then we see Minnie and Quinn as they are trying to figure out their romantic relationship, and then Minnie as a person has this amazing character growth throughout this story, throughout this year, that we follow both her and Quinn as they are trying to figure out what they should actually do with their relationship, their friendship, whatever you want to call it. I really just enjoyed the story. So much happened over a course of a year, and I loved every minute of it. So I would highly recommend this. So then the last one that I want to talk about is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This is an author that I've been hearing a lot about, but I seen this book hyped up all over Instagram, so I knew that I had to pick it up, and it did not disappoint. But this one follows our two main characters by the name of Josiah and Yasmin, and we are just following them after they have been divorced for 2 years, and they are just trying to live life after a divorce. They have 2 children. They are co-parenting. They are still running a restaurant together, so they are still trying to run that business together. And then Josiah is trying to date for the first time, and Yasmin is trying to figure out how she feels about that and how she's going to handle that. And we are just watching them as they are trying to live their life as divorced people, but raising their children. But we learn really quickly that Josiah and Yasmin still have feelings for each other. So that is another added layer onto this story. I freaking love this. I loved how we can see 2 divorced people co-parent their children and be mature about it. I like how they can not only co-parent their children, but they can still work together and be just fine. I liked how, they could work through Josiah trying to date, and you know how he was able to bring that up to Yasmin, and then he had to have a talk with his children about it. But this family, although it sounds all nice and perfect on the outside, they have had to deal with a lot. They have had to deal with a lot of loss. We see them as they are dealing with all of that. So because of the loss that they've had within their family, we see them having to deal with grief. When we see how each of them has dealt with grief in their own way. So how Yasmin has had to deal with it, how Josiah has had to deal with it, how both of their children has had to deal with it, and how it has affected each of them differently. And then we also have seen how the divorce has affected them, how the divorce obviously has affected Josiah and Yasmin, but then how has it affected their children, you know, and how it has affected their children differently. And then this book also touches on the importance of therapy. You know, we see in books, you know, I mentioned in the book before how one of the characters, you know, Quinn, went to counseling or therapy and he was working through his issues. We have the same thing going on here. But I like to see it when we can actually see the characters in those therapy sessions talking to a therapist, and not just one session, but over several sessions. And we can actually see a change in, you know, in the characters and see actual character growth or regression. But this particular story, we can see a positive change in characters. And I really liked how this story really shed a positive light on the importance of therapy. And the big thing that I really liked about the story was just the chemistry between Josiah and Yasmin. It just leapt off the page. I absolutely loved them together. Yes, I liked all the other stuff, but I was here for the romance, to the point that I actually spoiled myself for this because I had to flip through some of this to figure out what was going to happen, because it was leaving me in too much suspense. Like, I felt the chemistry just leaping off the page in this book. I loved this. I really did. I did not think it was perfect by any means, but I really enjoyed this. The hype for this one was warranted because this was a really good book, and I'm happy that I picked this one up. I'm happy that I fell for the hype for this one because this was an excellent book, and I would highly recommend that you guys pick up before I let go. So those are all of the romance books that I have, not all of the ones that I have read, but those are the ones that I have really enjoyed, and the ones that have left some sort of impression on me, and ones that will live rent-free in my mind. So that is all that I have for you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.